It is finally time. After I binge-watched Jujutsu Kaisen and coming to the conclusion that it's basically Madoka Magica but for guys, while also extremely chilling hard in the last few days, I finally managed to find the necessary time to make a new video about none other than our favorite shy girl and definitely not girlfriend of Rika, Ren Isuzu. Ren Isuzu was a playable character in the 2017 mobile game Puella Magi Record Magia side story Magia Record, and is a magical girl who's been shy her entire life and was bullied for it. Feeling that life was painful, she blamed herself for her loneliness, but she was freed from this loneliness by her fellow magical girls that lent her out of this despair, especially one important girl, this being Rika, which I covered in another video. With the help of these magical girls and especially Rika, she grows stronger mentally but has still a timid side. But at least she's better off than she was before, but more on that later. Ren is a 15-year-old magical girl who is voiced by Yuka Ozaki, who also voiced the Slimes from Dragon Quest and Michio Otori from Review Starlight. Her English voice actor, since Rika did appear in episode 2 of Magia Record, where Rena transformed into her to flee from Aira and the others, was voiced by Kimberly Woods, who voices Hinaki, Uboyashi, and Naora Takade from Demon Slayer, and Sakura from Don't Bully Me Senpai. Now that we get that out of the way, let's cover her ability and wish. Ren's wish was the following: I don't want to die, please, let me live. I can't say what the context to this wish was, but what I can say is that Sunny from Amori, Elena Gray from Magia Record, and Mami Tomoe have a lot of common with Ren, most likely when it comes from going up large building and what to do afterwards and having similar thought patterns. Thanks to her wish, Ren gained the ability of Nirvana, or how it also is known, rest in peace, in which she gained the ability to erase grief seed, although it could extend to her having the ability to end lives with little to no pain. Her magical girl form gives her the ability to summon willow whips like entities and send them raining down on an enemy in her Magia Soul Salvation. She wields a staff tipped with an angel wing that had also the ability to turn into a scythe that can slash and attack enemies with. So after covering her abilities and a short overview as well as her weapon, let's cover her side story and backstory. But content warning, this story has element of bullying and suicide, or attempted suicide. So if this is something you are uncomfortable with, I would advise you to leave this video, since even though the story has a happy ending, it's still rather depressing at the beginning, and you shouldn't watch something that makes you uncomfortable. And trust me, no one will blame you if you don't want to watch something that makes you feel uncomfortable. But now that we have everyone who's okay with these kinds of content, let's begin with her story. Our story begins with Ren standing on a rooftop. Kyubey asks if she's going to waste her wish once again by jumping down. Ren says it's different from last time and that she'd given up on this world, as she reminisces about all the bad things people said to her over and over again and gets ready to jump off. Kyubey tells Ren if she repeats her previous action, this being jumping from a large building, her soul gem will be destroyed. Ren understands and is ready to jump, but right at that moment, another magical girl comes along, this being Rika, who was at the scene since she was defeating a witch, and then she sees Ren trying to jump off the roof. When Ren saw Rika, she knew exactly that she would try to say something inspiring or something like that, and she didn't want to hear any of that and immediately jumped off the roof. She was then saved by Rika, who was like, "Girl, why the bloody hell would you do that?" And Ren thinks back on how it all started, and we get a flashback. In this flashback, we learn that Ren was always a person who had trouble speaking, even as a child. She thinks back of how she was teased and bullied for it, where people started treating her like she was not there and was literal trash by throwing everything she had out of the window and intimidating her over and over again, knowing fully well that she wouldn't speak up since she has trouble speaking and is too shy for it anyways, making her the perfect target, which resulted into Ren trying to follow the footsteps of Sunny and finding the highest building in existence and jump from it down below. But right at that moment where she jumped down and was halfway throughout hitting the streets, Kyubey started to appear right beside her, which would indicate that he's also falling right beside her. And he's like, "Yo, you know, when you are kind of against this idea now, you can always wish for not to die. I can make this happen. You just need to make a contract, become a magical girl, and everything will be alright." And Ren was like, "Okay, well, I wish I will not die." And with exactly these words, she survived this fall and became a magical girl. When she became a magical girl, she gets informed by Kyubey what a witch is. That a witch is a being that was created to curse other people and can make people more crueler and more open to brutal action. Ren therefore believed that all the bullying she was experiencing was a result due to a witch. Ren therefore has now a new result to live, this being destroy all witches and create a better world where no one gets to bully. However, no matter how many witches she defeats, people still acted the same towards her and started bullying her again. Ren thinks therefore she needs to destroy all witches, but Kyubey says even if she could, it wouldn't resolve the malice from people's hearts and bullying would still exist. Back at present, Ren thinks this is the reason she wanted to commit committed suicide again, knowing fully well that she would never escape this bullying no matter how many witches she killed, which is why she jumped down, recreating the Omori scene once again, which ends the flashback, and Ren once again stands before a confused Rika who wants to know why she did that, but Ren can't explain it all to her, which is why Rika then decides to take Ren to meet other magical girls she knows, since she noticed right away that Ren is also a magical girl and knows how important friends are to lift someone's mood up, if you remember her own stories. Anyways, Rika takes Ren to a place called Emir's Trouble Consolation Office. By the way, we will also cover Emir in the upcoming videos. Anyways, they get greeted by Akira Shinobu, who's a rather tomboyish looking ass girl who looks and acts like a boy and is fluent in talking with these hands, meaning she fights with her hands. Anyways, this kindness of Rika, her introducing everyone to her, made Ren extremely happy but also extremely emotional. She even states in her inner monologue that she was about to cry when she was introduced to other people and was treated as a person. And this emotional roller coaster continued when Rika introduced Ren to Emir, who is in charge of the counseling at the consolation office, and Emir immediately started giving Ren a nickname, this being none other than Renki. The key meaning nothing, since in Emir's eyes nicknames aren't about meaning, it's all about the ambience of this nickname. While everyone was talking about the meaning of nickname, they noticed that they didn't talk a single word to Ren, and when all the focus was put on Ren, she was like, why is it so hard for me to talk, to start a simple conversation with anyone? And then out of nowhere, the gator Ria appeared and is like, don't worry girl, all heartfelt problems can be solved with a simple hand cream. So here, I give you my favorite hand cream. And when the theories are right that Ria was in fact a trans girl who wished to become a girl, it would make sense why she has such high opinions about hand creams, considering that hand creams do in fact give you a feeling of femininity and softer hands, as well as peace of mind, especially if you take a lot of hand cream, which Ria exactly did, since the hand cream was half used. And Rika was like, girl, you already used half of it. But Ria was like, but only I used it, so it shouldn't matter. God damn it, I spoke too much of hand cream today. And I hate hand cream. It kills the gains. So everyone decides to give Ren some presents. Konomi Haruna gifts Ren Jamolian tea, while the other ones gave Ren a more important present, this being that no one blamed her for not saying a single word, and instead took all the time and effort to went out of the way to try to make her feel more comfortable, so it would be easier for her to talk, which was more than she could ever hope for from all the other people she interacted with in her entire life. Rika then suggests to visit the chemist club, where they would meet Walter Hartwood White, Hiyano Miyako, you know, the girl from Rika stories. When they entered the chemical club, they definitely didn't saw Hiyano mixing some crystal meth or something like that. Okay, actually that didn't, but that would be funny if that's her income in this series, cooking crystal meth, becoming the new Heisenberg. By the way, when we cover her story, I will make so many Breaking Bad jokes. You need to be ready for that shit, because I love that show. Anyways, she was already done when she saw that Rika and Emir re-entered the lab and was like, god damn it, I was just finishing the last batch of crystal meth and now you two idiots are here. What do you want? And Rika was like, okay, you see, Ren has some problems. And right at that moment, she noticed that if she would continue talking, she would most likely break the boundaries and Ren's trust if she would talk what her problems are exact, since literally this is still the same day where she tried to kill herself by jumping from a huge building. So instead, she is a bit vague with the problems she is currently facing and states the following. And I don't mean like the problem, the kind of problem where you don't know what you want to eat, if you want to eat nuggets or if you want to eat burgers. You know, these are serious problems and we wanted to ask you if you have a solution for this. You mean drugs? No, not drugs. You mean licensed drugs, like pharmaceuticals. Also no. And Emir just jumps in and says, yeah, something that makes your head go, Are we sure we're not talking about drugs? Because, well, you're too stupid. Because against stupidity, I have nothing. Okay, Miss Scrooge, okay, we understand it. And don't make a bloody reference to a book you most likely didn't read, Rika. Does the Muppet version count? No, it doesn't, Rika. And also, stop giving me some stupid nicknames. You got that? While they started bickering, they completely ignored Ren once again. Even I completely forgot about her. Damn poor girl. And finally, when the focus was on her, she couldn't even say a single thing. And Hiyano exactly noticed that. She was considerate and stated that she wouldn't make a special medicine for Ren, but would instead give her something more fitting, this being candy. Rika then states to Ren an important fact about Hiyano, that even though she is short and stumpy, her dream, beside becoming a chemist, is to be a sexy model someday, which no one actually believes she could achieve. But she doesn't give up hope and she just keeps on trying, something Ren should take as an example, and needs to look more at the positive side of life to achieve her goals, if she has any. Then they visited none other than the designer Kanoko Yayo at her family metal factory. Emiya asks Kanako to show her dress design, which she called a mushroom thing. Kanako insists the mushroom represents Mother Nature. Emiya asks if Rena thinks this is cool, to which Ren agrees, but is not quite honest about it. Rika says that Kanako aims to be a super fashion designer, and despite her taste in clothes and her horrid designs, which has no hope of actually achieving anything, she still continues, which of course annoyed Kanoko extremely, who's like, seriously? You invited a girl here to just shit on my art? Get the fuck out of here! But the message still stands. Even though something seems hopeless, and is hopeless considering how Kanoko's fashion design actually is, you shouldn't give up on something and still continue going forward. After this visit, Emiya leaves the stool, and now Rika and Ren are alone. Rika admits that Emiya didn't actually listen to Ren's problem. Rika then tells Ren the story of how she became a magical girl. She didn't explain everything because her liking girls is still for her a big secret, but she explains that she wished for the person she loved to love her back, even though they already liked someone. Rika claimed that she stole that person's love with her selfish wish. Rika then asks Ren if she thinks Rika is a horrible person. Ren is about to admit that she doesn't think so and is surprised to see that Rika is relieved. Ren asks why Rika talked about her wish. Rika says that if you want others to open up to you, you have to talk about the secret that creates your own distance towards other people. Ren tries to tell her own story and why she wanted to kill herself but couldn't find the right words and started crying. Rika tells Ren not to force herself and tell her when she's ready to. She shows Ren all the gifts she got and says if all these people were thinking about Ren, then she should continue to live. She says that while the world is filled with bad things, there are also beautiful things as well. Rika says the most painful thing is to have nothing. Ren therefore decides to continue on living, which relieves Rika, and she's ready to leave. But before she does, Ren thanks her. Ren thinks that if Rika is able to accept her story, then she would be able to live forever. It also has to be noted that Ren at that moment started to see Rika as her light, as one of the only reasons to continue living, because of how important she is to her. Many people therefore started shipping these two. Even one of the official artists of the Magia Record side content, Papa, shipped these two in his comics, and the majority of the fans ship them because they are truly a blessed and also healthy couple, and they have so many side stories where they have a healthy relationship, which we will be covering in the upcoming videos. But if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to show your support, and also please watch my Rika video. But for now, I wish you all a bloody good day and goodbye.